It's recording now.
All right, everybody that's interested in the Q&A, would you come down this way, and the guys that are playing, or if you're all interested, that's fine, but we're going to start. There's a few questions that we have gotten over the past 60 days or so on social media and from other places, and we'll discuss those first. There's only 3 of them, and then we'll open it to the floor. The ground rules are you can ask anything. Do not ask to date my daughter. That won't work. I reserve the right not to answer. It's similar to emails. Read every email, but some of them are incapable of answers or it's just privileged information. Okay? So we'll turn over to our host, Mr. Asselon.
I don't know why he needs me, but I'm here. I'm John Asselon, of course, if you know me from This Week in APBA, or like Greg Wells likes to call it, any particular week in APBA. So it's out there. Hope you guys listen occasionally, if not often. All right, we get a lot of questions all the time. John, I know, gets a lot of questions, email, whatnot, people to come up and talk to him. So this seems to be the best venue, at least during this weekend, to try to talk about those. So let's get right to it. First question is about the Negro League set. Somebody asked, how do you respond to the comments that the Negro League set is outdated because of the new stats?
Well, first of all, they don't know what stats we used. And I guess they're comparing them to what might have been public, whatever. We're confident. We worked with one of the preeminent Negro League historians, and with his personal files that he had. So, and we've talked to him. He's been very candid and we know some of the making the sausage of this current Negro League stats. So, we are comfortable that our sets are accurate, even in light of the new information, the new statistics. The other thing is, very few of our stats are based on absolute numbers. Pitching grades is the one I can think of with wins. It's based on rates. So you get your home run numbers based on home runs per at bat, not if you got 60 or 50. So we're comfortable that those are accurate and they won't be changed. Great Teams 2 that we announced yesterday will use the new stats, but they're still going to be apples to apples. You had to sit there. Pardon?
You said apples to apples?
I said.
I know, I'm just
All right. What else you got there?
All right. This is a question that's asked probably daily to you. The status of, you want to take these individual? You want to just go?
Yeah.
The status of the bowling game.
The bowling game wasn't financially viable when sites, created it and released it, and nothing has changed. That we have no plans to offer bowling.
Can we say the same for boxing?
Boxing we did not own. It was licensed from a third party,
That's right.
And they've licensed it to probably 5 or 6 other game manufacturers since then.
Okay.
And the boxing industry or boxing world just isn't as robust as it used to be with the Friday night fights back in the 60s. So it's not viable economically.
Horse racing always comes up, even probably more pertinent or more often than these other questions are asked. So what about horse racing?
I don't know how any other way to say no than no.
I'm trying.
Yeah, we've explained in the past that we don't make money on the game. We make money on our razor blades, the card sets. And even if the horse racing industry was robust, there wouldn't be enough horse cards to sell for us to forego another product. Because this is a zero-sum game for us right now, basically. There's only so many products we can offer in a year. And especially for a first time recreating everything, who are we going to drop? Are we going to drop soccer? soccer set or two, college football set or two. They're all selling. That's why we're offering them. So there's opportunity cost involved also. And I know there's a very vocal handful of people that say it would sell. But that's a very, very, that's the only ones that's gonna buy it. You know, people aren't knocking down our doors on it. We've gone so far as to have 2 different prototypes. But it would be very costly. We would not include the fancy racetrack that was on the game board stock. You know, it just, sites discontinued it for a reason. It wasn't making money. Is it a fun game to play? Yeah, especially, you know, group settings instead of solitaire. It's a great game to play. But let me ask you, who won the Kentucky Derby this year?
Age.
So
Hours.
this, in the past years, when I've asked this question, the last 3 or 4 conventions, nobody knew the answer. So congratulations.
No.
But that just shows the interest. You know, how many people know who won the World Series last year? It's gonna be a lot more. That's the point I'm trying to make. I couldn't think of it off the top of my head though. So it's not a possibility.
Well, and I think the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the people that are really interested in these games, I'm sure, contact you or have people contact you, and you can gather up all those numbers. And like you said, there might be some numbers, but are you going to have to run out your minimum printing numbers to be? It just doesn't make any money. And I mean, the people who are passionate about it are passionate about it, but the percentage is way.
And one of the things we did last year is, you know, the big complaint is how expensive the cards are on the secondary market. And we intentionally, to try to stymie that, made the card sets available as a free download off the website. And here's the response I got. A handful of the folks here said thank you. The only other social media comment I got from nobody I knew was, where are the bowling carts? You know, we made no money on that, and I'm not whining. There was a business reason to do that, was to drive down the secondary market. But we first of all, we had to find the sets, and Richard Hormel very generously loaned them to us. But then we had to make copies, and it's 9. So we got 9 cards on the copy screen, so you can put 9 on a sheet. Anybody here ever try to put 9 things so they all line up nice on the copy machine? And so it was a lot of work to do that. And I'm not saying, oh, poor us, but we have done what we can do to make it more affordable. But it's just not justified. And I'll just go to the next question because it falls off. I'm sorry, there's one more part of that question. Go ahead.
About the basketball game?
Yes.
Yeah. Potential of the basketball game. I know we've gone round and round about that over the last couple of
Yeah,
years.
I mean, we're still, when we have some free time, are kicking around a game engine, and we think we could get there. I don't know how viable the market is, to be honest with you. When I hear the comments I get about are not, when is the basketball game coming? It's, I won't buy a professional basketball game because you're mad at the NBA. So, but we're still working on it, because what basketball does vis-a-vis horse racing is 360 college teams, 30 pro teams, women's basketball, European basketball, whatever. There's a lot more razor blades to sell with basketball, but if we go that way, we're gonna have to find somebody who's a subject matter expert who follows it religiously and knows everything, so we can make accurate cards. And so it's not coming up in this year of 23 or calendar year 24.
And I think to kind of clean up and put a bow around those other games you were talking about, and I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand. You and I have talked about it too. It's that if you can save money on games that really don't make money for you, that's the more revenue you can put towards the games that are making money and that people want to see improved in some way, shape, or form if they can be improved. But the fact of the matter, it's like going to a restaurant and the restaurant's got 40 menu choices and 30 of them suck. They got 10 good ones and you got to decide which one. Or the restaurant that has 10 items and they're all great. So you just want to keep on making the great products great and better rather than putting out superfluous products and really making it go. So that's at least my comment on it. All right, what else you want to get to?
The other thing we get is, why don't you offer card sets or, for example, the horse racing game as a PDF? We've talked about this before. And, for those of you, the quality target is the Tiffany Blue Box to be the best product that will last the longest, most playable, most accurate. And all folks asking for a PDF always have that last sentence, we won't share it with them. But most of them, they don't want a file, a PDF file. They want us to print out the PDFs, the sheets, like we used to do how many years ago. And it took a lot of work to get past that, where everything is on cardstock, except, well, everything's on cardstock. That took a lot of work. And you remember, and maybe even some of you even said so, when we announced we were gonna offer all reprints of all the baseball sets we had offered, people said, they're not gonna do that. Enter all those numbers by hand? They're not gonna do that, no way. We did it that way, and we got every one of them. But we didn't put them on PDFs, perforated sheets, and we're not going to. It dilutes the quality of the product, the offering, and there's gonna be slippage. And it costs me more to print those cards in-house on our printer versus what we pay a printer for it. And that's the reason why people want us to print the PDF, so they're not using their print ink because it's so outrageously expensive. So PDFs are a non-starter. Anybody from the floor got any questions? Want to tell me I'm stupid?
Oh, there's Brian back there. He's got something.
And the question, just 1 second, Brian. This isn't flattering. If you got a complaint or whatever, this is the time to share it with us. So.
Unless you got to complain about This Week in APBA, I don't want to hear it.
That's the one.
That's exactly that's what I was telling Steve's comment. I said, that's exactly what Wells says. All right, Brian, go ahead. You got the floor.
Every set for in the 80s is redone except 87 and 89. When do you think 89 is done?
There are
85 and 89. I
Um,
don't care about the 189. So.
well, that's not the way for us to decide to move 89 up. But the goal is by the end of next calendar year,
Okay.
those seasons up to 54 that we've not carded everybody, we will do that. I don't know what Skeet is. What season are we working on now? What's
85.
85. And as one of those seasons, we're going to go back and redo 75. Even though every player's been carded, it doesn't have the dual master symbols.
That's fine.
So
I got plenty of time. Just curious.
you can buy the other 89 season set.
No, I did that with 83, and then you came out with the new 83 when I was like 2 years into a project. So now.
Yes, sir.
Anyway.
One, I want to congratulate you on getting Ernie Harwell to do the play-by-play on computer, the 5.75. But my question is, how did you get him to do it, and how long did it take Ernie to do all the voice?
It was not our decision. Thank you for the compliment, but Miller and Associates, who were the programmers for BBW, they went out and got Ernie. They were the ones that decided to put audio into BBW. My understanding is the first tranche, it took Ernie 4 weeks in the studio every day for 5 to 8 hours. And then he did one other couple years later updating it for new names, or you could get your own name in the game, and then his schedule got busier. I'm sure he wasn't very excited about doing it as much as he was a prolific songwriter in Nashville. So he was a very he was a man that was a broad river that ran very deep. Only about 10% of the folks use Ernie when they play their games. And people say, well, when are you going to update it? Well, we'd have to, just get a voice that just does the names that haven't been done. We're getting away from the blue box then. If we're going to do it, we have to redo everything. And how we decide what to invest in is how much money we're making, what the gross revenue is for those. And BBW is our poorest selling product. And that's because with that league manager, 30 people, 40 people can use the damn thing. Or because you don't need a key or any type of password to log into BBW, it's the same thing. And so, people say, well, you've given up on BBW. No, I look at it as the BBW community has given up on BBW. They wanted to support it. Yeah, so there's an option, Millers did not recognize what they were doing with their commissioner file. And remember, when that came out in the 80s, there was an email. I mean, you got your stats by paper. Yeah, so that was, again, leading edge, but didn't think everything out. And so I thank you. I will pass on your compliment to Roswell Miller.
There are people that do baseball play-by-play, and like Abigail, they're sitting next to you. You can make it up.
He wants too much money.
Yeah, 4 weeks in the studio every day for 5 hours.
Hey, he wants great Wells Comcast money.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think most people do their own anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Gus?
How well is APBA doing, and do you have any metrics on it as far as gender and age playing?
We don't have gender. The rest is confidential. I consider that confidential. Abigail, we are pleased with. We are optimistic that we're working on a project with a couple of folks in this room that will be able to add more files in season, more files to Abigail. Where I see going with Abigail is that the Negro League set that Ted Noor announced yesterday is going to be cards, BBW, and Abigail. Subsequent sets will only be available on Abigail. And if this process works out, that we think it will, we'll be able to offer non-major league seasons, College World Series, Japanese League, whatever, but all those will be just available on Abigail. And it's not, people say, oh, you're forcing us to go there. No, I don't have room, and I don't want to have the inventory of those card sets, because for the most part, those are not going to be big sellers. There'll be a passionate group, but very small. And electronic products, I don't need to rely on U.S. Postal Service, UPS, me screwing it up and sending the wrong product, which I've done more than 100 times at least this year. So that's the direction we will go with Go. It's getting there. Steve Ryan has been a huge, huge asset, doing some consulting work for them on the computer manager sides. And we've put more resources, hired more people up in Canada. The team is now 5 instead of 2. And we've been working on this app I talked about yesterday, the SafeBet app, and we're optimistic about that. And I know most of you have no interest in that. And we look at SafeBet more as a marketing tool to get ABBA out to other people in the baseball and sports fans that don't know about ABBA. and, you know, they decide that Abigail, safe bet that the simulation is accurate, it's a lot of fun, you can, for your daily fantasy or for actual sports betting, and then hopefully they'll say, hey, let's check out ABBA. What is this ABBA? And go from there. But then we're going back to, there's a punch list of some other items that they're gonna start working on then. Remember, and you can say this is an excuse or a cop-out, Abigail is being compared to BBW from day one. Abigail, you've got to be like BBW day one. BBW didn't get to where BBW was for about 20 years. You know, anybody that bought the first game, ABBA Baseball, it was one floppy, didn't have any stats, it had no league manager, it had no computer managers, it was just the game. I mean, I remember trying to create Excel files, and you had to enter everything by hand. And BBW is a great product. And, you know, I understand why people would not want to switch from that. Or if they compare it to Abigail, they find it lacking in some areas. But, you know, we're 3 years old, 5 years old, and they're 35 years old. But the goal is to get there, is to offer all the functionality except League Manager, where you're sharing files. You know, we're not going to have that function. And we won't have Wizard either, because, you know, the files are general files for everybody. So we can't have people going in and making changes. So, yes, Pastor Rich. Pastor Rich this is his maiden trip to the convention. And you drove what, 700 miles starting at 7 o'clock last night?
No, it's 1 to 1. Literally 12 hours.
Okay.
Just 1 to 1.
All right.
With the proliferation, I guess, of regional tournaments and stuff, I know last year you had the extra card stock where you offered the single teams and stuff like that. First of all, number one, did that go well for you guys? You know, cost to burden ratio, and then is that something going forward? I know there's all kinds of different tournaments where they have this theme and that theme, and then the secondary markets, obviously.
We basically, what the in-house single teams was, we could throw out, you know, a couple cases of perforated stock, or basically with making cards and printing cards on it, we were selling the perforated stock for $2 a sheet. So that's why we did it. There's no single team that we sold enough of to recover the cost of printing it with our printer, because we have to order in quantities of 20, and there wasn't one team. One of the early 70 Oriole teams came close. We have no more card stock left. And so, it's, I understand where people would like it, but it's very manual.
Sure.
And it takes away from other things. We don't make money. I mean, if you look at, you know, how much you're paying people to do it and whatnot, and ink from the printer, you know, we break even at best. So that will not. 2 years ago when we offered 3 years, we said we got stock. Every year we go through and clean out the warehouse, and we happen to find some more. That's the only way we could offer. And it was on golf stock. We didn't have any more baseball stock. And, you know, what about single teams? Again, our biggest enemy in running ABBA is having money sitting in inventory, sitting on pallets. That's not helping us. Our money's not earning anything, and we're losing other opportunity costs. And like I said, the times we've done it, we've never had a team that we sold enough of to recover the cost of printing. So, I mean, you guys have been in the warehouse. You know, we got 125 seasons of baseball or whatnot. Well, multiply that, just say by 20 for 20 teams in a season. You think we mess up on you know, I hate to say it, but sometimes we send baseball instead of football. Why, you know, the odds of, especially if I'm back there, of getting the right 1931 team is really poor. It's 1 out of 16. So that's the other reason. And our store, our online store can't handle that many objects. So, yes.
I know it's probably not maybe 0.0001% of the people in here, but these people online and Facebook and all that are criticizing Apple all the time need to shut up. That's all I gotta say.
Well, they're not, and
Or else be more positive. I mean, it's really frustrating. And I know, like I said, this is probably the new people, but it's really frustrating when everything they put is negative and there's no positivity about it. Oh, well, my stuff was late. Okay, yeah, it was an anomaly. Okay, it happens. All right,
Well,
but
don't get upset about it. It's not
no,
worth it.
No, I'm just saying.
But I'll tell you the opposite side. How many folks here have bought the new Master Football Game manual? How many guys like the new organization of it? That wasn't our idea. Somebody made a comment on Between the Lines back in the day when I would go there periodically. So there are great ideas out there, but it's like a needle in a haystack. And it can be a valuable resource. I mean, I'm sure it's got a lot with the connectivity of the community, the increased connectivity, the increased tournaments, because people can reach out to more people in the area instead of in a city region or something. But yeah, and we have a file. John's always wanted to do a podcast going through some of the emails, and we're not going to go there. But we read every one we get. You never know.
Well, no, I mean, it's like, I've had situations where things didn't come out right. I sent an email and everything was fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, other people are like, just, again, I know it's probably not anybody in here, but it's more the newer people and the younger people that are used to having everything given to them. So, anyway.
Yes.
Speaking of football, do you have any update on when the 2022 season?
Yeah, let me spend a few minutes with that. I was hoping to announce it here first, but we were getting so many email requests. I put a blurb in the newsletter last week. 8 or 9 years ago, this soft-spoken gentleman came in our office. He was on his way to Florida. He had just retired from NCR, Denny Hodge. Wonderful, wonderful man. And Denny comes back from Florida, and I get an email from him. He goes, "Do you have volunteer work for me at APBA? If you do, I'll move down to Atlanta." No, I don't want that much pressure. But then he stopped by another time and he said, "I'd be interested in making the pro football cards." And we had all the stuff we were using that he started with, but he has improved the process tremendously. Last year, about 2 weeks before the convention, the football guys invited me to their secret handshake initiation ceremony. And I asked Denny if I could treat him to dinner, because I knew he went to that. And he said, sure. And he called back a few days later and said, I can't do it. And he kept sending me emails apologizing because the 1980 said he was working on it. He said, I'm not getting to it. My stomach is just bothering me. I just can't, and it hurts so much I can't concentrate on anything. 2 years ago, Denny had beaten cancer in 2020, stomach cancer. After the convention, I got an email from him. He goes, I got stage 3. There's nothing they can do. And I called Denny every Monday. I called him the following Monday, and he was tired. And I said, can I still call you every week? Because, no. But I wasn't bugging him about the cards, because that was unimportant. And he said, sure, and the next day he died. And we have begun that process, probably a month later, of trying to find somebody. And we've talked to several people, talked to Ogard. He has no desire. He says, I want my time free for me. I don't want to make any commitments. Understandable. We talked to somebody else, and you would have to follow the formulas and processes we use. And the first thing they want to do was change all the running stuff, because he had ideas. We can't do that. That was done in the early 80s, and you guys got screwed. All those card sets you owned didn't work with the new boards. That was wrong. we're never doing it again. And that's why we're hamstrung in some ways with, why don't you do this for baseball? Well, then the other sets won't work or whatever. So when they said they had some ideas and they're going to make it better and change it, I wasn't interested in that because there's negative consequences for part of it. It took us a while, probably about 6 months, to get Denny's files from his daughter. But she is very gracious. You know, she's going through this grief. She's going through postpartum because she had a daughter about 4 weeks before Denny died, but Denny did meet her. So talked to a couple other folks, and I can't get this wrong. I can't get any hiring decision wrong, but especially this, because Denny, it was such a great quality product. And someone's agreed to do it, but they're doing something else for us now. And so I'll do it. I've done card sets before. I mean, the stuff that we sent to Denny, that's the foundation, is the stuff that we created in-house. It will be available before the start of the 2023 season. In a perfect world, it would be available late July, but that's highly unlikely. We've done the hard part. We have the team points assigned. We've got about half the teams, the rosters, and we've signed the points to the players. That's the hardest part. And then it's just a matter of really understanding how this works. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of getting experience in doing that. So hopefully no later than mid-August. It is coming. These aren't excuses. You know, our goal we always shoot for around the NFL draft. And we didn't make that this year. But we're plugging away at it. And hopefully we'll get back to, we're doing about 4 NFL seasons a year, like we were doing when we had Denny. We've had people say they would do it, and that always scares me. Because there's a lot of mundane stuff in it. It's not all exciting. A lot of times you don't get it. You got to adjust looking at it. It's tough. It's hard work, and people think it's not, and then they fall apart. They just walk away from it, or they have a full-time job. But I got time. No, you don't. And I don't mean that disparaging, but you work all day. You come home. If you have a family, you know, you do your family stuff. And it's 9, 10 o'clock, and you're going to pull out your laptop and do a couple hours of football cards? No, you're going to have a beer, watch the news, and go to bed. I understand that. So that's really, you know, several people in that situation have said so. And they would do a good job, but they don't know what they're getting into. Talking about the cards, Greg Wells has been a tremendous resource for us forever. For the first few years Denny was making cards, Greg graciously gave of his time to review the team point totals. At the end, Denny had it wired. I mean, you know, and but when there's some things that have to be addressed, and I'm not talking about this runner at second base, but obviously the position of quarterback has changed in the NFL, and some of them are a running back first almost. And to treat those runs as scrambles really skews the card. And Greg, what was it, the second or third week of the season?
Yep.
You know, I said, what do you think about that? We got to break those called runs out. And he said, absolutely. But the play-by-play information available does not give you the wherewithal to compete those stats. But my friends at Pro Football Focus do have it. And I talked to them starting after Greg and I talked, and I said, are you keeping track of this? And he said, yeah. And I go, at the end of the season, we'll send you those stats, and then we'll work something out. End of the season, I didn't ask, I got it. And the price was that one of their guys is Mike Trainer, who has good reputation in the football analytic world. And he's an APBA guy. So they want a 22 card set for Mike. So it's coming. Pro football is not being discontinued in any way. But, you know, when Ron Murrah used to make the football cards, and then he wasn't interested. And the first couple years I did him, and the first year was shit. You can tell me that. Can you swear on YouTube?
Yeah.
But they got better. So we're not going back to that. You know, again, it's quality and accuracy. John.
Were you able to break out the kneel down at the end of the game?
We've always done that. We've always taken spikes out of their passing totals and kneel downs. We've taken the running attempt and the yards out. That information's available.
Right. So John, just for clarification, we're breaking out, so everyone understands, when you break out the runs, you reduce the scrambles, you make your passing column more accurate.
Yes, yep, yep.
Are you gonna give somewhere either on the roster sheet or on the card, how many runs the quarterback should take?
No, I'm not. Where's Ray? Ray? Ray Dunlop is a big advocate of quotas.
I know it is. No, I'm not saying.
No, but you're starting to go down that path.
But if you're going to say that a quarterback had 200 rushing attempts, had 150 called rushing attempts, and scrambled 50 times, and you're gonna take those 150 out of the P column.
Yep.
The rules of the game say you can only run twice. So
Well,
you're gonna have to.
there's gonna have to be some adjustments.
So you're gonna have to make, that's
Yeah.
what I'm suggesting,
Yeah.
either make an adjustment, and, I mean, I would say you should say, I'm not gonna tell you how to do this, but I'm telling you how to do this. I would say, divide the number of rushing attempts by 16, and that's his number that rushing attempts.
Well, let me respond. When I've been kicking it around, I've been
I hate
thinking.
quotas too, for the record, I just wanna go out there. and
Yeah,
say,
no,
hey,
but what we were thinking of doing is, we have EB/HB.
Right.
And that is if a wide receiver runs 10 or more times during the season, the runs are treated as a running back. And that's what we were looking at with the quarterback. They'd be a QB/HB.
Yeah.
And so then that two scramble rule would not apply.
And that's fine, I think
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess I would say somewhere we should explain that to get accurate results, you're gonna have to run this guy a certain amount.
Exactly, yeah, no, I agree,
Okay,
yeah,
that's all
yeah.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, there's
I
gonna
don't
have
want
to
some guy
be,
play and then go, well, Josh Allen only ran the ball 50 times instead of 200.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Okay.
no,
I
absolutely.
hope Gil got all that on YouTube, because I'm excited about it.
You know, you're not on the video though.
I don't even think, I see like half of Hasselhoff's head, so.
That's all I got. That's all I got today. Been
Good
driving
job.
since 2 in the morning. I ain't got more than
John,
Follow up, this is only gonna apply to the new sets then?
yeah, we're not gonna go back, because the stats aren't available.
The stats aren't available, so
Yeah.
like when you're redoing an old season, it wouldn't happen.
No,
It's
no,
not available.
no, and you were back to 58, 59 season in football?
Sorry.
We're back to what, late 50s.
Yeah,
We're not going any further back than we have gone.
oh, that's fine.
Yeah, one of the questions is you need a 1940s great team set. We'd be guessing. We should be throwing a dart then. The information's not there. The play-by-play information isn't there. And how many people here were alive in the 40s? And you were what, 2 years old?
More than you think, probably.
Yeah, but you have no memory and you weren't football fans.
Oh, yeah.
But they go, well, I know all about that, so you don't need stats. I'll help you get that. And then you run to accuracy. It's home team bias or favorite team bias, whatever. And the game is so different back then versus what it is today that you need new boards. And it's just not worth it. There was a question over here. Somebody I thought had raised their hand.
You kind of answered. I was going to say, just give the quarterback that runs a lot, a halfback or running back.
Yeah, okay, all right. It's 5:15. I can go another 10 minutes, and we can stay longer if you guys want.
I'm good.
Steve? Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask Abigail a question, but you kind of talked about it because you said you had a punch list of things I was going to ask about.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yes.
I know just about all the baseball World Series sets are available. I was looking for some of the more, I think I saw in the newsletter that you're gonna do more Super Bowl sets.
Yes.
So like the 90s weren't there.
Well, because we don't have the 90 season sets. So the seasons that we have redone that are in the store we have the Super Bowl sets just for them, because we have to do the entire season and then just plug the 2 Super Bowl teams out.
Gotcha.
So they'll be coming in combination when we redo those sets. Anybody else? Tony, you always have a question.
The hockey cards.
Yeah, what about them?
Okay. Hey, they make the game settle down. On the bottom, the print is really small. The older I get, the smaller it gets. Any chance you make it in Braille?
That's pretty good. I will tell you an email that I got the first year we did cards down here, and it's just different, and people are afraid of change. And in this community, it's like, here's this newbie they don't know anything about. They think he's evil incarnate, and the cards don't look exactly the same. The font's not right or whatever. And I got this email from a guy. He goes, I'm 86 years old. I live at Marco Island, Florida, in Southwest Florida. He goes, tell those guys to get reading glasses. So that's a suggestion.
Oh, I have a magnifying glass.
He's got the nicest one you ever saw. It lights up around the outside. It's the nicest
On Amazon for $11.
Maybe we can start offering
And it's
that
not
as
a
product.
makeup mirror.
Telling yourself that.
You can't have it. You look through it, not.
All right, anybody else?
Well, I didn't talk to you afterwards.
Well, we can ask you now.
I was wondering, how long does it take to help with the football set? Because I mean, as a teacher, I have pretty much my summer free is what I'm asking.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, but it's got to be every quarter a set.
Okay.
And it's, for example, I was talking to a couple folks last night, and we have a pipeline of products. And like 2022-23 hockey was available here. It won't be going into the store until the week of July 10th. And 52 anniversary will go in the store late. Baseball will go in the store later this week. We have 2022-23 UEFA 16-team championship set. We have another college playoff set. We have EPL will be available. And the reason that I don't put them all in the store at the same time is, one, as you know, I want a new product every week. And two, I'm going to need a month of no distractions to do this football card set right. So that's why I'm teeing it up for that. I'm at that point where we have that, and Connie can run everything else. And it might be occasional email I have to address.
My other question is that could we maybe share the wealth between some of the people here? Too much of a hassle.
Well, the challenge is, and it's human nature, is I can do this better, or I can do that better. And everybody's going to want, what team are you going to want?
Team you root for.
The team you root for. So there's going to be some bias, and there won't be the consistency we need. Is Dick Moore here?
I didn't see Dick.
Greg, are the Packers, the 2021 Packers, still in it?
Yes, they are. They're playing late.
Finals?
Yeah.
I want to apologize to those who bought the 2021 season set, because we have to figure out how, beyond the stats, how to incorporate poor attitude, poor leadership, diva-ness, so that it affects, which does affect their performance, that would affect their performance at ABBA.
You're gonna build a heart factor in?
Yeah, basically, at least for one person.
You just want to make sure the Vikings are worse than they actually are. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking.
You ever hear about the guys on the beach and he kicks a genie? You know, he kicks something and the genie comes out and he says, "You get one wish." And he goes, "I want to live forever." And the genie says, "I'm not that kind of genie." He goes, so he said, "I want to live until the Vikings win the Super Bowl." And the genie goes, "You son of a bitch."
I've heard that in Cleveland many times.
You know, when you start telling jokes like that, I feel like you're looking over.
You were laughing. You say I'm not funny. Anything else? Anything about golf, soccer, any other sport? You know, really, this is a time if there's something that you want to get to our attention.
Hey John, just a follow up from, I know in the past you said that with APBA, like, you know, the vision is for incorporating other sports. Is that still something?
Yeah.
That, like I know hockey you had mentioned.
Yep. And ironically, I'm going to regret saying this. The programmers for their next game, they want to do the horse racing game. and the reason for that is there's very few decisions that have to be made. Unlike baseball and football, especially football, you need really robust coaches or managers. For soccer, you pick 11, and then you decide who's going to do the penalty kick, and you might do a substitution. It's very much more passive than those. In horse racing, they just think it'd be fun. So I put it out there, but there's no board game coming. Yes?
One thing I noticed with the straight computer game, I think it's with Kansas City Stadium, when you get a runner on third base, he's way off the base paths.
You can move him? That's on his computer.
Pardon?
That's on his computer.
Yeah. It's something with the display. It's
Steve
not.
Ryan's on it. Don't worry about it. Steve Ryan is all over it.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
John, are you gonna do? I'll ask a soccer question because I love soccer. Are you gonna do any older MLS seasons? They play for the Cosmos.
Well, we did the 2000.
They play for the Cosmos in 2000.
No, the challenge, we've looked at that. I mean, that was the first thought when we started. What would be the first old season we do? And that was it. There are no stats. No stats. And especially with a team with that many well-known people, it's going to be separating reputation from actuality. I will say a couple things about the soccer game, if you don't mind. We will be going back and doing probably MLS sets because the stats are available. But one of the trends that's happening as analytics gets to soccer is how the best predictor of success is passing completion and percentage of passes forward, or instead of side to side, advancing the ball. And we got somebody who is extremely smart, very computer savvy, and he is doing cards that way. So what it means is that after your shot numbers, and the 50 and 47 your foul numbers, everything else is random number. And what he's doing and tweaking, revising the formula backup, is that if you are a good passer, your first 4 or 6 numbers after your shot numbers would be the higher, more successful passing numbers. So that would increase the strength of the team. And the other thing is we have to, especially with goalies, is make sure that like the save numbers are in, the sweeps, the double-digit dice roll numbers. So we're excited about that. The sets done this year will be done with the formula we've been using because all the prep work is done for that. But we'll be doing some testing. We may ask some of you, the subject matter soccer experts, if they want to mess around with the new cards, the new formula cards. The other thing with soccer is we are not doing Bundesliga this year. The only regular season set is EPL, and then we'll do the 24 European Championship set and the 16-team UEFA. We are not doing Women's World Cup. It's just not enough data points to get something accurate. The reason we're not doing Bundesliga, I know this year it was competitive. In the past, it's not been. It's been like the AFC East when the Patriots dominated that division every year. So, anything on golf, hockey? Somebody asked me a question earlier today. Are we going to go back any further in hockey? And we aren't. It's a similar to 1940 great team set of football. Same reasons.
So no Bill Barilko?
Who?
Bill Barilko? Scored the winning goal in the 42 Stanley Cup. Went fishing and they didn't find him until 67. His plane crashed. In 67, oh, never mind.
Shame on me.
Yeah, you
I
did
know
hurt
better.
No, that's Maple Leaf lore, Bill Barilko.
And were you around in 42?
No, but I know about it, don't I?
How do you know it's the truth?
Because I know it's the truth.
How? You read it on the
Maple Leafs
internet?
don't lie.
Yes, sir.
John, last year, I believe, or maybe before that, I don't remember, but you have touched on possible new products.
Yeah.
One of the things you did mention was cricket would be a popular,
Yeah.
as an example.
Yeah.
But is there anything in your thought patterns that you're thinking about adding products?
Curling.
I play curling.
It's a good beer drinking game.
Yes, it is. Cricket is, I kind of throw it out there. I know it rubs some guys the wrong way. What will decide cricket? One advantage is it's like baseball. It's discrete events. It's not continuous action. And the discrete event games, we've got really wired, and we're doing much better in continuous action. The North American Professional Cricket League starts this fall of 23. It's a 23-24 season. All the owners are high-tech zillionaires, all from India and Pakistan. So if anybody's going to do it right,
Less than that yesterday.
yeah. Here in Atlanta, youth cricket is almost as popular as youth baseball or girls softball, and there are, every field in the non-prime hours, every baseball field or softball field, there are cricket people there. And a gentleman I asked one day while we're waiting for them to get off the field so our game can start, said that cricket, he was in his 60s, and he said cricket is like your basketball. And what he meant was it's a sport you can play forever. It doesn't require pads, it's aerobic. You won't be as efficient as you were, obviously, or proficient when you were younger, but you can play it forever. And he says that's the big attraction for their countries, for people who play cricket. Cricket everybody thinks they last for days, the matches. And you're in England, you get tea and crumpets and whatever. But they have a thing called, what is it, 20? TR20?
T20.
T20, where it's done it's devised for TV. So it's what, a 2-3 hour?
3-hour game.
Yeah.
So it's like football.
Yeah. So the other thing is basketball. We've had suggestions for catamaran sailing. We've had NASCAR. If you have played any of the NASCAR video games, you don't want to be rolling dice and moving tokens around a board. The video games you are in the driver's seat. Somebody has said, what about tennis? Play tennis. I'm sorry, play tennis. What?
Cornhole, people. Come to your door.
There's professional pickleball league starting. All those, the primary factor with all of those, why we're not interested, is I'm not interested. And if I'm not, and I don't say I'm right, but if I'm not willing to develop the expertise so we can make accurate cards and accurate games, understanding the rules, it's not going to be a good product. So,
Might be synergy between baseball and cricket.
that's a big factor. That's a big part. Yeah. And the other thing is, there's a large, not necessarily here in the States, but there's a large number of people that play cricket. And it's a smaller world. Yeah. And offering just electronic version, you don't have to worry about shipping or whatever. You can offer any season. Somebody asked me about KHL hockey. That's not in the cards. That's how we're boycotting Putin. But the stats, again, are not as robust. Somebody else asked earlier about, is there gonna be a college hockey set? Yes. The 16 tournament teams, 22, 23, and that's probably, it'll be sometime in August, that'll be released. They're working on that already. Is there a hand down there? Two last things. This came while I was on the treadmill this morning, so it's always dangerous. I would like to see if somehow we can do an ABBA day, where ABBA is played for 24 consecutive hours in a day. It can be the different cards and dice, BBW, ABBA Go, anywhere in the world, but you play for an hour. And then somebody else takes over for the next hour. And for 24 hours, ABBA's played continuously for 24 hours. So, you know, think about it. I'll throw it in the newsletter. I think it'd be kind of cool. And nobody else is doing it. We probably get some good publicity. I forgot the other thing. What was the other thing?
You were off the treadmill. I don't know what happened.
No, that was the idea.
It slipped in.
Would that be for like a charity thing,
I was
John?
on the treadmill this morning for a couple hours. No big deal.
No, nothing.
When did you turn it on?
Our middle son is a runner. And he runs 50 miles a week. He has done, his main run this year is 100 miles in the Washington area in late August. So he ran a 62-mile race last summer. And so his brothers, and the other supportive members of his family, we all agreed we'd try to walk, run, steps 62 miles for the month. We didn't come close. Anything else? You know, I read every email, but some of them there is no response.
He reads most of them to me.
Yeah, but we do read them. So if you have something that you think we should know and you don't want to do it in this forum, send it to customer support. And we don't just go, oh, that's crazy. I mean, well-written, well-thought-out, non-cap emails, we look at, because like I said with the master football game, ideas can be anywhere, and we're not reluctant to use them. You won't get credit probably, but no. So really, you know, as I say, this is a community. It's more than a game, it's a community. And you guys, and there's people at other tournaments around, are a huge part of the community. So we appreciate your support, we really do. And it's getting to be about time to eat. You got 25 minutes to get pretty. Thank you.